Hello, in this video we are going to talk about class 10th heredity and evolution chapter. Our first topic will be heredity, which is also called inheritance. Heredity basically means transfer of characteristics from parents to their offspring either via sexual or asexual reproduction. These characteristics are called traits and controlled by genes. That's why this type of science is called genetics. Gregor Mendel is considered as father of genetics. Two sets of genes are required to make a particular trait. On the basis of inheritance, traits are divided into two parts. First, acquired traits. Second, inherited traits. Acquired traits are those traits which we acquire after the birth. For example, scars, skills, etc. etc. Inherited traits are those traits which we get from our parents. Example, our eye color, shape of our ear, skin tone, hair type, etc. etc. On the basis of expressed, which means appeared in front of us, traits are two types. First is dominant traits, second is recessive traits. Dominant traits are those traits which is expressed in the offspring, also called progeny. For example, if a plant have two genotype, capital T or small t, here capital represents tallness, small t represents dwarfness, then it will be tall plant because tallness is a dominant trait. Topic: rules for inheritance of traits. Mendel selected pea plants for inheritance experiment due to its short lifespan and it can be grown in any season. So there will be multiple generation for experiment. He took garden tea with different characteristics, a tall plant and a short plant, and produced progeny from them. The result was all plants were tall. This meant that only one of the parental traits were seen, not the mixture, in the first generation. However, in the second generation, all plants were not tall. Instead, one quarter of them were short, which indicates both tallness and shortness traits were inherited in first generation, but only tallness trait was expressed. In this picture, you will clearly understand how traits are transferred from parent generation to offspring. In parent generation, first parent has both tallness as genotype and second parent has dwarfness as genotype. Genotype is basically gene codes. In first generation, all offsprings have 50% tallness and 50% dwarfness trait in them, as tallness is a dominant trait which is visible in them. In second generation, one offspring has 100% tallness, second and third has 50-50% tallness and shortness, while fourth one has 100% dwarfness allele. Allele is also called genes. Now we are going to study about dihybrid cross. It is basically when we take two traits together and combine them. For example, let's take parent generation as first one as round and green pea plant, second one as wrinkled and yellow pea plant. Result was all progeny has same genotype, that is round and yellow pea plants. However, in second generation, the ratio was 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1, which basically means 9 round yellow plant, 3 round green plants, 3 wrinkled yellow plants, and 1 wrinkled green plants was observed. In this picture, you can clearly see why there is so much variation in second generation, while first generation we got only one type of output. Heterozygous is basically means presence of both alleles. You can pause here to read about which genotype is combining with which one to form the result. The next question would be, how do these traits get expressed? Meaning how we can see one trait while other is recessive. Let us take an example of tallness as a characteristics. We know that hormone can trigger growth. Hormones are responsible for growth. Example, auxin is responsible for tallness in plants. Consider now enzyme that is responsible for making hormone. If enzyme works efficiently, a lot of hormone will be made and plants would be tall. If that enzyme has alteration that makes enzyme less efficient and the amount of hormone would be less and plant would be dwarf or short. Thus genes controls traits. Now we talk about sex determination, how genes determine our gender. In some species, temperature determines whether egg will be male or female. In others, like a snail, they can change their sex as per requirement, indicating that sex is not genetically determined. But in humans, it is determined by 23rd pair of chromosomes. If 23rd pair has both X chromosome, then it will be female. If both pairs are mismatched, meaning one is X or other is Y, then it will be male.